That's what's not understood here, and that's how it's been characterized. We've let the media really characterize the discussion, or they put out the topic, and now we have to argue. They make our argument for us, and this is something that I've seen in leftism or any type of liberal ideology on whether it's social media. They will come out and they will somehow confound what you're saying. They will misinterpret it, and I think it's purposeful. And then in doing that, they will put out an argument arguing against something that you stated, and then the thing that you stated was not what they're arguing. So now you have to think. See, when they form things in a question, they do that purposely because the human mind is made to answer questions. So they'll say, "Oh, you thought there was voter fraud," and then my response, and this is exact example. My response is, "I've never said there was voter fraud. All I said is there's voter fraud allegations." Now there was other things that are black and white that really are irrefutable when you talk about constitutionality, and those are what I'm referring to. But the way in which you're meant to answer that question is voter fraud. You're supposed to give a yes or no. They word the question, so you have to give a yes or no, and then you have to kind of defend it afterwards. Me, the way I answer questions is I think, okay, well, what is the answer that they're trying to invoke from me in this question? Now, you can give them the yes or no, but that makes you look bad at the end of the day. It's that classic, did you beat your wife question. So what they'll do is they will misconceive your arguments. They will misinterpret your argument purposely, so then they can argue with you on a point that you're not even trying to support. So yeah, that's what's going. And then you get attacked. You get the whole pile-on. I mean, this week I personally put out a statement on Facebook. I put out a statement stating pretty much, these people that attacked the Capitol building, the rioters. To begin with, there was at least, if I had to guess, tens of thousands, perhaps even maybe hundreds of thousands of people on outside of the Capitol building. They don't really want to show you pictures. If you haven't noticed, you really haven't seen pictures of it, because then it would show that there's turnout and support for Donald Trump, if you haven't noticed that. And then they won't give you estimates of how many people were there either, because then it actually, if you play the proportionality of, okay, let's say in that Capitol building there was maybe 100 people, 150, 200 people, and if you do the math of how many people were actually at the event, then you go, oh wow, that's a really small percentage. That means that a very small percentage of Trump supporters are bad people, instead of condemning all Trump supporters across the board as white supremacists and white nationalists, and how our country has a serious white nationalist and white supremacy problem. Instead of doing that, instead of being kind of fair about it, instead it's instant invoking of white supremacy as a core systemic problem in our country. And that was what my statement really was. One, it was addressing that. And then it was also addressing we don't buy into the identity politics ideology like the left does, because what they do is they point at a immutable characteristic and they use it to identify people, and also try to identify and almost mold what your thought process should be, what your ideas are. And I've had this fight actually with conservatives where they'll say, hey, this population, they all think this. And in and of itself, to assume, because of what someone's gender is, what someone's ethnicity is, that they think a certain way because of those two key characteristics, it's racist. It's racist. It's also generalizing people, thinking because they look that certain way, or because whatever gender they have, whether they're a male or female, they think this exact way. That's not how it works. Now, you should judge people by the content of their character, not by the way they look, and that is something that is rejected by conservatives all around. I'd say. Now, yeah, are there racists out there? Yeah, for sure. Are there white supremacists out there? Yeah, for sure. Do I think it's systemic or it's systematic, and they are a very good amount of the population in this country? Absolutely not. No, I don't even think it is. Now, I think everything that's happened so far, these events, and then coming out and saying that all Trump supporters are white supremacists, I think that it emboldens Trump supporters. It makes them much more apoplectic, if I could find a word for it, angry, frustrating. They just don't feel understood. really, more than anything. They're probably just, they're angry because they don't feel understood, and that only increases the amount of division. And I'm not sitting here going, you need to be accountable because you know what you're doing and you're doing. I don't do that pedestal thing. I don't think I'm better than anybody else. I don't care. I mean, if that's what you want to do, that's what you want to do. I'm going to call it out how it is, though. I'm not going to be like, oh, it's on you. You're inflaming, you're stoking. I got that one, too. I got that one from a middle school teacher that used to teach me in school. I got you're stoking the flames of division with my 300 people that are on my friends list and maybe the 150 people that follow the Federalist Files page. Then I got a couple subscribers, got about 900 or 1,000 now at this point on Rumble. And then YouTube, I got like 40 because I don't even advertise on YouTube. I don't put anything out because I know I'm going to get shut down from there eventually. But now I'm stoking the flames of division. It's just focus group tested phrases that like the DNC puts out to the mainstream media. Then they regurgitate it and they just say it over and over again on CNN or MSNBC or what have you. And then regular people listen to it and then they read it and then they think that they can go and they can type it and throw it out to people like me. And it's going to make me like apologize and it's going to make them look like some grand wizard or something. I don't really understand the thought process behind that. And to be honest with you, that middle school teacher, that conversation I had easily was the least substantive conversation I had amongst everyone else that was there. Just because that whole time it was really elitist. It was trying to insult my intelligence and kind of do the dance around and telling me that, oh, you're inflamed and all this weird stuff. And then my response back is, interesting, because I'm not the one commenting on your status. You're the one commenting on what I have to say. You seem like the one that's pretty enraged. Me, I'm cool. I'm cool as a cucumber. I put out a status knowing that I'm going to get attacked by pretty much all the liberals that are on my friends list. I don't care. And it's an echo chamber. That was another thing I put out. It is an echo chamber on Facebook. Especially if you're on the friends list that I hold with how many people I have. It's definitely an echo chamber. For sure. And then I'm told that, I somehow live in an echo chamber, which doesn't really make any sense because I just go to work every single day. And then if I go to check online, people say their thing. I don't really comment unless if I think it's extremely egregious, but I really have not commented dissenting opinions on other people's stuff unless if they're taking my information, they're sharing it, and then they're trying to misinterpret it and put and contrive a narrative that's coming from me. That's the only time where I'll comment back, or when obviously it's my post and I get comments on it. That is the only time I'll really respond back. So yeah, that's really it. That's all I have to say about that. Very disappointing. Kind of proved my point because at the very end I was like, I'm gonna get the pile on, and this is why conservatives don't come online, and this is why they don't say anything, and this is why they're so quiet, and you guys don't understand why they don't want to come out and have any type of conversation with you to begin with. And that's another thing is, the left, it's very easy to pile on because it's a groupthink ideology. And that being said, because they can do that, they win in numbers, but there's a lot of people that are messaging me personally telling me they agree with me 100% and I put up a really good argument. So, but not that it doesn't really matter. Like I said, I don't really care. But that is why conservatives don't go online and they don't post things, because then they get attacked hardcore from the left. And then the left can't figure out why so many people vote for Donald Trump. And the reason is because they're all in hiding and you don't know who they are. And if you know who they are, you put them down further. And then they show their friends, or their friends are messaging them. It only emboldens Trump voters. They don't want to meet in the middle at this point. And that's how it seems from both sides. Neither side wants to meet in the middle, which is actually fine, to be honest with you. I think that there can be agreements only made on one thing, and it shouldn't have anything to do with meeting in the middle or compromising your opinion. I think it should be met in truth. Whatever is the true statement or fact, that is something that can be agreed upon by both sides, whatever the truth may be. Now, I don't want to, for example, in gun control, if the left believes and they want this much gun control, and I say, oh, well, you know what, I'm willing to give you a little bit of this just so that we can compromise. I'm not willing to compromise on that. We're not willing to compromise on things that we feel are core functional principles of a constitutional republic. We don't care. We're not going to concede. That's not going to happen. That's what my point is you have a bunch of conservatives that are strong. They're not happy. They're pretty angry with the results, and we're also more angry of the lack of process at this point when it went to judicial system or the judicial branch, and it was blatantly turned down with no look into it. And then as well, when we go to try to actually get some sort of investigatory system to check out and make sure to validate these results or these electoral college votes, that gets turned down as well. So the people have not seen their day in court. That's the way they feel. I am just saying what I see. I'm saying what I see as a conservative. I'm saying what a lot of people are telling me. I am their voice. I'm saying they do not feel at this point that they've been represented. They don't feel like the system has worked. They don't feel like the court system has done anything for them. They have not done anything to even look into this process. If you had, and here's the thing, there's nothing wrong if there's no type of election fraud. Now, what would be the problem with having an investigation? If you're not gonna, if you were so sure that there was if there was no voter fraud, then why would an investigation matter to you? Why are you so worried about turning it down and making sure it does not happen? That's the real question at this point, and especially when there's there's like hundreds or even I think there's even thousands of affidavits written of people saying that they weren't letting the poll watchers do their job. There's a bunch of rules as well as the Constitution that was violated in this entire process in this election, and it's not being seen in court. And when a committee is trying to be created to look into it, that's not allowed either. So the people feel like at this point they were not given any chance to look into any of this.